Today, I spent some time talking to Abraham Haler. He is a career coach at Newcastle High School, and we shared a little bit about his vision and hope for the students here in our community. We have Abraham Haler here, and he is the Newcastle basketball legend, Abraham Haler. So, we didn't really get to know each other until your adult life. I heard your name. The first time I heard of you was, I think some family members were, because they went to basketball games all the time.
Uh-huh.
And I had some family members mention a sophomore named Abraham Haler that just had so much potential for Newcastle basketball. So, uh, to start off, we're going to get into what you're doing now and things like that. But what were those days like for you, and how did those days kind of plant the seeds to create what you're doing right now? Because I
Yeah.
can see the Trojan basketball post
Yeah.
background there. So
Yeah.
go ahead and talk about those days and how that planted the seeds for what you're doing.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. No, basketball was a huge part of my childhood and growing up, even in high school. And so I'm very fortunate to have great opportunities in middle school, high school, elementary days, just growing up around hoops my entire life. And so definitely had awesome opportunity in middle school to go to the high school during morning workouts with Coach Bennett. And so just really had some great development early on from Coach Bennett. And so definitely had some really great experiences early on in my high school career to get varsity minutes. Started varsity my sophomore year, dressed varsity freshman year. But I'd really say, with the help of Coach Bennett and my brother being a senior my freshman year, he definitely paved the way for me to have the opportunities that I had. So great experiences in high school playing ball. Getting a lot of varsity minutes sophomore through senior year. We had a great team junior year, great team senior year. Great memories. We had the transition of Coach Bennett to Coach Cox, who's the current high
Oh,
school
yeah.
coach here at Newcastle, my junior year. So that was definitely a big transition, but an awesome transition going from Coach B to Coach Cox. And so, yeah, having awesome experiences in high school, great experiences with teachers, staff, coaching staff. And then now I'm back at Newcastle High School as the college and career coach for our 10th through 12th graders. So definitely full circle now as I'm 28, working in the high school and working in a place that drastically shaped me as a young man. And now into my adulthood. So, yeah, I get to work with our 10th through 12th graders, helping them figure out what they're going to do after high school, whether that be college, going straight into the workforce or enlisting in a branch of service. That's what I get to do on a daily. I meet with kids in our room, sit down with them one-on-one, give presentations, help them through all areas of next steps after high school. And that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So what does I didn't so is the career coaching position, if I'm correct, that's what it's called, right? Career coaching. Um, how long has that been in place? Like, when did I just learned about it? Maybe a year ago. And then after you answer that, what does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, yeah. So Newcastle School Corporation received a school improvement grant a couple of years ago. And so it's a 5-year grant. And the first year was the planning and strategy behind the grant. And then the last 2 years have been the implementation of the grant. And so 2 years ago, there's many different roles now at the high school and middle school that are associated with this grant. And um, those new roles came in 2 years ago, and then now this fall is when I came to Newcastle. And so a couple people that started as career coaches have transitioned to different roles here at Newcastle High School. And so I was able to have the blessing and opportunity to come in as a career coach for our 10th through 12th graders. And that's kind of how it started. Again, it's a 5-year grant, and there's a lot of really great things happening within this grant, sustainability once the grant expires. And so we have awesome community partners that partner very closely with the high school and with this grant that we're very, very grateful for. And I get to be on the fun end of it and help kids explore and discover. And so my day to day looks very different each day. But my big focus every day is just meeting students where they're at and helping them dream and explore and really just dream when maybe they don't have dreams that are being influenced on them by their family or their home life, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
I'll meet with kids one-on-one in our room. Right now, the big focus is FAFSA for our seniors,
Okay.
because they're focusing on trade school or colleges, and so I do a lot of that every single day right now. It's
Kind of
got its
guiding them through that
seasons.
process.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Guiding them, because a lot of our kids don't have the resources and the help at home
Yeah.
to figure these things out. I mean, our community is riddled with homelessness, drug abuse, alcoholism, all the stuff that really affects our kids. And so, they don't have the help and the guidance at home that, even I did and my
Yeah.
student generation had when we were in high school. And so it breaks my heart, but also at the same time, it gives me fire to help them. And so, what they experience at home, they can't get this support. Sometimes some of these students can't at home because they just don't have parents or guardians that
Yeah.
that sometimes care. And so I care deeply
Yeah.
about
Right.
these
Right.
kids and their futures. And so that's what I get to do.
On that note, so are you available to all students, or is there particular students that get assigned to you, or how does that work?
It's all 10th through 12th graders, every
Okay.
single one of them.
You're available to any of them.
Yep, yep. They all have equal access to me.
Okay.
And what I have learned through my 5 years of higher education, working at Anderson University
Yeah.
and working in admissions. So yeah, anybody, if they want to, accept my invitation to partner with them, they
Yeah.
can. But there's also, I mean, we have students who are really high achieving, they don't need my help. But then we have some students who they need my help every step of the way, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to guide them
Yeah.
and hold their hand through that process.
Yeah. So on that note, so this, I'm going to paint, maybe paint a slightly dark picture here.
Sure.
Um, but that's why I wanted to reach out to, that's why I did reach out to you, because
Yeah.
I want to reach out to people who are willing to admit where we're at, but
Mhm.
have a vision for what they see possible and where
Yeah.
they want things to go. So
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that note, um, you mentioned some of the kids and some of the situations we have in our own community here.
Yeah.
Um, I remember a time I worked for a short period of time at Eastwood Elementary as a social worker there, and definitely saw firsthand what I've heard teachers talk about.
Yeah.
And there was a young girl there, um, first grade, yeah, first grade, to my knowledge, because it kept relationship with some of the teachers. Summer break was getting ready to come, and she actually began to talk about killing herself. Described how she was going to do it because school was her safe zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
She literally didn't know what to do or how her life was going to be, knowing that she couldn't come to school on a daily basis.
Yeah.
She was afraid to be home.
Yeah.
And so we have multiple children
Oh,
like that,
oh yes.
unfortunately.
Oh yes.
And so we've seen a lot of ups and downs in our community.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like we are in a position where we've rose, but now I believe we're seeing a digression, or we're starting to come down. We're starting to see more things being social ills being
Sure.
ramped
Sure.
up, and it's affecting everything. So
Yeah.
um so you've landed this position. I know you're a man of vision. I know your family preaches vision. I
Absolutely.
know your brother, I know your sister, your dad. So I know some of your background, and
Yeah.
that never give up, warrior of David type mentality.
Yes. Absolutely.
So what do you see for not necessarily what do you see us becoming, but what do you want to do? What do you see as the potential of what we could become in your
Yeah.
role in that, let's say in 5 years? What do you
Yeah.
want? What do you want? What do you hope to
Yeah.
accomplish? Yeah.
Yeah. Really my heart is to be a light to our kids. I'm a man of faith. I grew up in the church. Dad's we are in a public school, and so those that language I can't use. I can't
Yeah.
express
Yeah.
my faith publicly.
Some people wouldn't
However,
even
I can.
understand it anyway, right?
What?
Some people wouldn't even understand that language anyway, right?
Correct. Yes. But if I can't do that, I can love these kids well,
Absolutely.
and I can at least encourage them
Yeah.
uh to dream and to go for things that maybe they don't have a vision of. And so really what I hope to do in this role and here at the school system is to be a lot well and to pour into them in ways that they've never been poured into. Give them hope, give them dreams, and guide them and assist them along the way. Um, Even if it's just one student that has absolutely no goals and I can help them and assist them and walk alongside them. If I do that in 5 years, great. But we have an amazing school system and we have amazing resources and amazing things that are going where I can partner with these kids and partner with our school system and help them in many, many different ways. So my vision, my hope is that as a man of God, I can just love these kids well, fill them up with the love of Christ, even though they don't know it, and help guide them and just give them all the resources and equal access to their next steps after high school.
Yeah. And you said something there about even if it's just one. And
Yeah,
immediately, every time I hear that now, I think there's people who think, oh, that's so cliche, right? That's a cliche saying. But
sure, sure.
but it's true,
It
right?
is.
And I know some of your heart, and we've had conversations, and I feel like some of my heart. That's true. I mean, it
Yes.
it is. I mean, that's what we live for, right? Like, um, we know we're going. I hate to even say this, but we know we're going to fail most of the time.
Oh yeah. Oh
Let's
yeah.
be honest, right?
Yeah.
We know we're going to fail most of the time. So why do we do what we do? Well,
Yeah.
it truly is because we know it. We're also going to succeed, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's what keeps us driven. So,
Yeah.
um, but when I saw that you were placed there and in that position now, that's what really thrilled me because
Yeah.
I love knowing there's certain people I know that I trust because I know their heart and I know their
Yeah.
passion and compassion for our community.
Mhm.
And to know when they're placed at different places all throughout this community in very, very strategic positions.
Yeah.
Golly, I love that.
Yeah.
There's a teacher, I'll do a little name dropping here. You probably know Debbie Rains.
Uh-huh.
So she was over at Eastwood. She's retired now, just recently. But oh my gosh, I loved knowing she was right there. And
Yeah.
there's so many other teachers, right? So if you get into too many name dropping, it's like, why didn't you say
Why
me?
didn't you say me? Yeah. Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. So I
Yeah.
love knowing that you're there. Um,
Yeah.
and you started, if I'm correct. Let's see. We got a few more minutes because I
Uh-huh.
want to talk about just let you drop some of what your wife's involved in too. I saw some of
Yeah.
the she's involved in.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, didn't you go to Anderson and your original goal maybe was working with children with disabilities or special
Yeah. So
education?
I got my degree from Anderson University, elementary education, and a minor in special education. And
Okay.
I discovered as a student in college that special ed was a big passion for me. And
Yeah.
so I do have a heart for our students with special needs.
Yeah.
I give them hugs when I see them in the hallway. And yeah, so I got my education from AU and those degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Are you familiar with 321 Go Kids,
Oh, yes.
Free Lane
Yeah. Brent and Paige
Camp.
Fisher. Yes. Very,
Yes,
they go to our church, and
yes, that's right. That's right.
yeah, very, very familiar with 321 and what they're doing and
Yeah.
love what they're doing. We actually have high school students here in our school who are interns at 321,
Okay.
which
Awesome.
is really, really cool.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Again, just little facets of our community. I love it. Like those are
Yeah.
the things we really, I say we really need to highlight. I want to
Yeah.
highlight, right?
Yeah.
So, but I did notice your wife on a couple things your wife's doing.
Yeah.
So we know the sourdough thing is
Oh,
kicking.
yeah.
So at our church, we have a lady that she gave me this little start, and
Uh-huh.
it's in my freezer because I heard it's kind of like gremlins. You have to feed them.
Oh, yeah.
You can only feed them at
Feed it.
certain,
Feed
and
your
you only
starter.
can
Feed
feed
your
them so
starter.
much, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't fed mine yet,
Uh-huh.
but and I noticed she's also wrote a book, started a. So
She's
talk
the
about, yeah,
illustrator. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so my wife, she has a sourdough business. She bakes sourdough bread creations. And so she just started it a little, I don't know, over a year ago, and it has blossomed into quite the opportunity. So she's got a Facebook page. Her name is Ryan, and her little business is called Rise Dough.
yeah.
And so she's got close to 400 followers now on her little Facebook business page, and she's killing it. She was stretching and folding her yesterday while at home. We have a 2-year-old daughter at home, and we are expecting a son in May. And so
Oh
she gets to
wow,
stay at home with them, which is great. And
yeah,
she is also now journeying through being an illustrator for a children's book. Her sister is the author, and my wife is the illustrator. Their book company is called Radiant Kindness Book Company,
okay.
and they're releasing their first book here in a couple of months, which is really exciting. They've worked very, very hard over the last 8 to 12 months on this. Lots of sketching, a lot of meetings. They're partnering with a nonprofit in Indianapolis, so part of their proceeds will be going to a nonprofit in Indianapolis. And just they're crushing it. They're killing it. And this all started with my sister-in-law's vision, and then my wife is a wonderful illustrator, and so yeah, they'll be releasing a book. Let me get the official name here. But they're really excited. They've been doing a lot of work. Their book company, again, is called Radiant Kindness Book Company, and their first book is called I Don't Like Honey. And it is a scripture inspired story of a little girl that feels under the weather, and her caring mother wants her to eat a spoonful of her least favorite food, honey. Um, and so this faith-based children's book is a picture book about a mother's love and the biblical truth of the healing power of her kind words. And it's really powerful. It's a beautiful book, and yeah, they're going to be releasing that here soon, which is really exciting. So yeah,
That's
my wife's
awesome.
very involved. She has a heart for children. She has a degree in education as well,
Oh, okay,
and she
okay,
taught kindergarten for 2 years, and now she's a stay-at-home mom with our daughter. And so
yeah,
that's what she's involved in, and she's killing it. She's crushing it. She's a light. She's a joy, and she's definitely making an impact there on our community, and hopefully our community will support that book and her
yeah,
book company.
absolutely. That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. So speaking of kids, I just saw um, a quote today. I suppose it's attributed to this individual, the great biblical philosopher Theo Vaughn. No, but no, I saw a quote today that hit me so hard. When you keep criticizing your kids, they don't stop loving you, they stop loving themselves.
Hmm. Wow.
And man, that hit me. And I thought about the truth behind that. And so, what the reason I bring that up at this point is because
Yeah.
it when you started talking about your wife and reaching the children and
Yeah.
wanting to pour into the children and providing providing a resource for parents
Hmm.
to read to their kids, to show their
Yeah.
kids, right? I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Um, And then everything we've talked about today with what you're doing there.
Mhm.
So let's kind of end with your thoughts on that statement. I know I just kind of threw that out of right field, or as they say, but what do you think about that when you criticize your children? They don't stop loving you, but they do stop loving themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's very powerful. Um, if we continue to degrade our kids in the school system and even our kids at home, you know, all they're hearing is negativity and bad emotions towards them. And if we shift our parenting, if we shift our, and I'm not a pro at parenting, no way am I saying
Just
that,
starting, right?
just starting, but like if we shift our correction and our criticism towards love and guidance, and it's not always no, 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 or don't do that, don't do that, but if we teach and explain, and we explain the why behind our parenting, even at 2 years old, our daughter understands the why.
Yeah.
And so I think if we explain the why to kids of why we make these decisions, why we do this in a school system, we are teaching rather than criticizing and knocking down their emotions and their feelings. So no, that's a good quote, Theo Vaughn. Wow, that's good.
Yeah, interesting,
Um,
right?
yeah,
I I've been reading something, a book. I've been kind of reading through. It's not one that I can read quickly through because I have to kind of ponder it as I read it. But it's The Road Less Traveled. It's written quite a while ago. Very good book, but it began to talk about the author Scott Peck, and I think he was a psychiatrist. I know there's a difference between psychologist and psychiatrist. I think
yeah,
he was a psychiatrist. But anyways, he began to talk about how when parents basically aren't healthy themselves, they cast or throw up their
sure,
unhealthiness on their children. So
for
uh,
sure.
if they have this attitude that all of their problems are because of everyone else, they can
Yeah.
actually begin to cast that on their kids
Oh,
too, right?
yes. Yes.
You're the reason I can't succeed. You're
Sure.
the reason I'm not happy. You're
Yeah.
stressing me out right now. If
Yeah.
you wouldn't be so, fill in the blank, then my life would be happier. Or here's another one. The reason, mom and dad can't get along is because of you,
Mm,
right? So then, and even though they may not say those exact words, right? How they word things and how they throw those things on their children, I think sometimes trying to be deep here, and I don't know exactly how to articulate it, but sometimes we can unknowingly make that 5-year old, 10-year old kid feel like they're supposed to be responsible for the health of our marriage,
yeah. Yeah.
right? And how many
Yeah.
times does that happen, right?
I'm sure.
Like
Yeah.
these
A lot.
kids are vulnerable, and man, they do need people to step up to the plate, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why our school systems need to be a safe place. We as teachers, leaders, staff, admin, we have to set the example. We have to pour into these kids. We have to watch what we speak about. We have to watch how we act. And because whether we like it or not, these students, the majority of them look to us for instruction, for correction, for how to act. And I applaud Dr. Shoemaker and Mr. McDaniel for the school system that they are creating, and the the people that they are bringing in our buildings, because we do have the right people, like you said earlier, the right specific people in the right specific spots to help these kids change their thought process and how they view themselves and the way that they think about themselves. Um, it starts young. It does. It really does. We as parents, we have to instill the right ways of thinking for our kids. And if we can start it young, then we can continue to develop that as they grow. And then when they get to the high school level, they are ready to go to their next steps. They are not still, you know, backwards because of their trauma or because of their
Yeah.
issues at
Yeah.
home. When they're ready at high school, then we can really help them dream and focus on their future.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but
Right.
yeah,
Well,
that's yeah,
it's I just thought of a like a basketball analogy, right? Like if you're having to learn how to dribble as a freshman, you're probably not going to make the high school team, right? Like these
yeah,
are things that you should already know at certain levels. But
sure,
how many, I'm not specifically asking, but think about it like, and I know you see it, how many high school students don't know how to dribble in life yet, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because they haven't
There,
even learned the basic fundamentals. And that's where, again, it's just chipping away at the big stone. But, parents have to be more cognizant and realize they have a precious commodity in their hands that they're shaping and forming,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah. And we as staff, as teachers, we have to realize that these students are coming from these backgrounds and they may be behind. And so we need to meet them where they're at, right?
yeah,
If I'm talking to a student that can't critically think or they don't know how to draft an email, I need to meet them where they're at to
yeah,
help develop them, catch them up so that way they are ready to go to a Ball State or an IU where they have to critically think, they have to be able to send an email to a professor, those types of things. So as staff members, we have to meet these kids where they're at, whether even though they majority of them are behind in certain areas, we've got to meet them where they're at and we've got to love them well. So that way we can set them up and love them well for the future.
yeah. And in closing, like couple minutes,
Yeah.
um, so you mentioned universities. So let me talk to you about this.
Mhm.
What about the kids that are hands-on, the plumbers, the electrician?
Yep.
So just a couple minutes, what do you do there?
Yeah, so we focus heavily on work-based learning here at the high school. We have an internship coordinator here at the high school, Patrick Burris, and he's awesome. And so we have the Career Center, which is amazing,
Oh, we have
and
one of the best.
it's one of the best in the country.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really is.
literally.
And so
Yeah,
those students, they have that opportunity. And when I can see that in a young sophomore who can go to the Career Center their junior year, I want to pull that out of them so that
yeah,
way they are encouraged to do that. We take a lot of field trips here at the high school through these roles to colleges and universities, businesses. We go to Draper. We go
yeah.
to uh, what's the one out in near Blue River? Magna. We go to
Go
Magna
Magna.
Tools. We
Crown's
are
involved
hitting
too, right? Crown,
what?
Crown is involved.
Around. Yes, we have great relationships with
Yeah,
all these businesses and partners. So it's not just a college that these kids got to go to. We have opportunities and we're hitting every avenue of post-secondary high school education, careers, those types of things
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Awesome, awesome. Well, brother, thank you. You're
Absolutely.
actually my first recording. Uh,
Perfect.
you probably won't be the first distributed because I actually am going to be on with another guest that I talked to a long time ago. But anyhow, thank you, and we'll definitely connect again because I'd like
Yeah,
to pick
absolutely.
up and kind of keep track of the progress that you see
Yeah, absolutely.
coming
For
along
sure.
there. So, Abe, take care, brother. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for giving me this platform to share what we've got going on. I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely. Thanks for staying in the community.
Oh, I'm here. I'm back. I was at AU for 5 years, but I'm back and I'm loving it.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate it. Hey, see you later, brother. So as you can see, there are some great things going on around here, and we have great people doing some great things. And the hope that I have is that Abraham will be able to continue to prosper in his role there and continue to help our students realize that they're not stuck, that there are opportunities out there, there are avenues, and that they do have the ability to dream a little and to use their skills, to find their skills and how to use those skills